What's up, guys? How are
Taco,
you?
Man. Thank you so much for coming on, taking the time. For those who don't know Mark, most of people know you by Taco, which is crazy because I don't think I've ever met someone with such a powerful brand, which is interesting, man. Yo!
Nerds. Thanks, man. Thanks. I don't know. I like to think outside the box, man. We've spent some time together, especially at Wealth Genius there, but like that's how my brain operates, man. I'm just trying to think in like a much deeper scale when I look at things, which is why I think it amounts to a lot of my success and stuff like wearing a taco on my head and going by taco and stuff like that. It just works, man. Like I'm not wearing my shoes today, but I got those yellow freaking kicks that say taco on them too. It's crazy. It's a fun brand. I'm having fun, you know, like I'm at a point in my life where I can have fun with what I do, and I don't really need to like impress anybody or like, you know, like I know I'm a smart guy. I'm successful. I've done a lot of big things, so now I'm just having fun with it and enjoying what I'm doing.
What was the inspiration for like even wearing a taco on your head?
So the inspiration, honestly, I'm gonna have to say my wife's the real marketing genius. She's kind of like the shyest person you will ever meet. Like when I'm in a room and there's lots of people in the room, it gives me energy. When she's in that same room, it like destroys her. We went to Vegas and she was like, Mark, you should wear this taco on your head. And I was like, well, when in Vegas, why not? Right? I'm that person. That's my personality type. We went to Vegas. I wore this hat. I started meeting so many people. Like it was insane the amount of people I met by wearing the hat. And I wasn't even trying to market or sell or do anything. I was just people were just coming to me. And then my nickname in the army, when I was in the army for about 16 years, was Taco, because my last name is Taco. So everybody in the army calls me Taco. Like a lot of my close friends call me Taco. And when I wear this hat, people would come up to me and they'd be like, hey, what's with the hat? And I was like, oh, my name's Taco. That's why I wear it. That was my pitch. Like I didn't have a pitch. And then after that Vegas trip, I had that realization that like, okay, I have a strong brand. People are coming up to me. Now, what do I want to market? And then I came up with the marketing strategy of, okay, what am I going to market? And then I decided to wear it at the multifamily conference because it was like a big event. It was going to be a lot of people. And, you know, what's a good way to meet everybody? If this worked in a pool with the drunken people in Vegas, it would work in a big room with a lot of people. So I met a lot of people at the multifamily conference. Within 2 days, I met everybody. Like that's a big room. There's like 1,500 plus people. I think the first year I went, there was like 2,300 people. And I met a majority of those people because I was wearing my hat.
Uncapped fans, want to boost your credit score and unlock new financial opportunities? Check out Creditlift. They offer personalized credit building plans, expert advice, and tools to help you track your progress.
As a loyal podcast viewer, you can get started through our exclusive link below. Improve your credit score and take control of your financial future today.
Thanks for supporting our sponsors.
And now back to the show.
Right. And everyone, what was cool about it is in a big room, this hat works even better because when you're doing like social media and marketing, you know, it's all about the share, right? Like if somebody shares this video, then it's going to travel further and it's going to get more reach because it's going to go into your circle and then your circle, and then it will continue to expand exponentially. So the hat kind of does the same thing in person. When we're in a big room and there's lots of people, like you two know about me, and when some random person looks across the room and sees this crazy guy with a taco hat and they're like, yo, what's with the dude with the taco hat? You guys are going to be like, dude, you haven't met this guy? You got to meet this guy. He's smart. He's a marketing guy. He does renovations. Like you would start marketing for me. So you're like sharing my post is basically kind of like how it works.
Yeah.
And then people were coming up to me because other people were like, hey, this guy told me to come and talk to you. And I was like, I don't even know who that guy is.
Yeah.
But sure, let's talk. And it's like, how can I help you? And then I would talk to them and figure out what it is that they needed. And I would give them whatever help and value that I lead with.
Yeah. Like I remember even at Expand, I saw you for the first time in person. I saw your online content for a long time. And like, I knew about Tacoboutinvesting, right? And I knew that brand, but like when I saw you, I was like, oh, it's Taco. Like, and I felt like I knew you before even talking to you, right? So like, did you have any like branding or marketing experience prior to that or?
No, you know what? I don't know. I've always been in sales and like, you know, and like I said, I think my brain just likes to work deep, but I always think about like what's next or what I should be doing, because like, you know, it's really important to know, like if you read books or like talk or listen to some really successful people. It's all about like, you need to know where you're going and then work your way all the way backwards, right? If you want to make $1 billion, start there and then work all the way back to wherever you are today. And then you can just follow those steps and you'll make it. Becoming successful isn't rocket science. Becoming a good at marketing isn't rocket science. It's just, you need to know the steps. And if you have no idea how to find those steps, then it becomes more difficult. But if you can read a few books or figure out some steps that other people have taken that works, you can just mimic or copy that model and it'll work.
And it seems like Taco is like a personal brand, right? And you bring like the businesses under that, or
Yes.
how do you define
Yeah.
it?
So, man, I was like, how do I build? Well, first I was like, okay, first, appreciate this. I know I said okay a lot, but appreciate this. I just started this brand. Okay,
Yeah.
so this isn't like this brand I've been working on my entire life. Like I wore this hat and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this thing out. And then it turned into social media and marketing and all this sort of stuff. I don't even know where I was going with this. Fuck.
Screw it. I was talking about, is it a personal brand?
Oh,
or,
yes.
Are
yeah,
you
the
integrating the
personal brand.
business?
Right. So for the business, so I was like, how do I market the business? So I'm going to market by being loud, like kind of guerrilla marketing, like, taking, going to a formal room where everyone's wearing suit and ties. I'm going to wear a taco on my head, like that's like, that's the kind of marketing that I like to do. So I just go in there and really punch everybody in the face. And then when I started meeting people, so one good thing about marketing or even just business is listening to the consumer and what it is that they're missing or what it is that is difficult. So I'm a contractor. That's kind of how I started my business in the renovation side of things. But when I was in this room full of investors and I was talking to all of these investors, I was asking them what kind of like help do you need, or what trouble do you need? Like what is it that's difficult about real estate investing? And 90% of these people were like the renovations, right? Everybody makes money on the buy. Everyone talks about making money on the buy. And when you join some of these programs or you're doing real estate investing, you're going to learn how to budget your numbers. And most of the time they'll tell you to get a reno budget and add like 20-30%. And that's like the reno budget. But like, as far as like the actual work and how to execute the renovation and what materials you should use and all that stuff, that is like a huge missing piece in the industry. And I figured that out at that event. And that's why I was like, okay, well, now I'm going to talk about it. And that's how that kind of like really stemmed and got put together. So this turned into a personal brand about educating people on the renovation side of things for real estate investors, like how to vet contractors, how to do, how to get quotes, how to like come up with a good scope of work. What are the phases of work in a renovation? What is it like to deal with an inspector? Like I tell people now, after doing this for a couple of years, you don't need to be a contractor. You don't need to know how to lay bricks or tiles or whatever, but you definitely need to understand the process in order to be successful. And if you don't understand the process, you're just going to eat shit like every other single investor ahead of you. So I was hanging out with some influencer guys, of buddies of mine, and we've kind of come up with a course, and it's going to be like a crash course on how to walk through your first investment property and how I would look at it. I'm not looking at numbers. I'm not looking at like, what it would look like if it's a duplex or a triplex. I'm looking at stuff from the contractor lens, and I'm doing everything from like what I look at before I even see the property, like online. Like what characteristics of a property am I looking at when I'm doing it online? It's mainly a duplex. That's like an entry-level course. And then after, when I'm doing the walkthrough in the building, what would I be looking at? Like, what does the furnace look like? And what does that mean? And it's kind of like really giving the basics so that you can understand how I look at things, and it's going to help you be more successful. And we go everywhere from like hiring the contractor, getting a referral, going and visiting a contractor on one of their job sites. Like how many people get ripped off by contractors because they just got a referral from an agent? Like you got to go and vet the contractor, and does he have enough people to execute the work that you're trying to do?
Yeah.
Right. And then, managing the contractors, writing up contracts, how to break a contractor up, how to pay a contractor, everything right down to moving in your first tenant.
Yeah. Well,
And that's like, I've broken it out into 18 crazy chapters, and I'm just dumping my entire brain and my business model into this program.
That's
that I
awesome.
think
When is the program coming out, or when do you expect it to come
it should
out?
be coming out just probably October. I've gotten the first batch of revisions back, and I want to make it a little sexier. I like to do things differently. Like I've seen a lot of courses and programs out there, and a lot of them aren't fun, engaging, and kind of like really dull. And it is information, but like, we all have ADHD. We want to, I want to enjoy, when it's 100%. A good movie, you're going to watch the good movie, right?
Yeah.
But when it's not a good movie, then it's not going to be as good. And I'm the type of person that when I do something, I want to like move the needle a lot. I don't want to just.
Are you a business owner, sales rep,
And spit on that thing. You get me?
or is someone who just wants to learn more about sales? You don't want to miss the biggest mastermind of the year.
On September 13th, some of the best business and sales leaders in the world will be at this event teaching you everything you need to know about business. Through the Uncapped Network, you can get an exclusive 20% coupon code. So type in Uncapped20 down below. We'll see you there.
Let me explain. Guys, September 13th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., one of the best, most insane virtual masterminds you've ever had access to. You're gonna get 20% off like these guys just said. You're gonna have access to some of the top sales trainers, top business owners that have 9-figure exits under their belt, marketers who have 9 figures worth of marketing production under their belt that you're gonna have direct access to for multiple hours with Q&As so you can ask them questions, get insights, get training that you need to scale your business. Every speaker that we announce, the price goes up. Speakers have already been announced, so you've already missed price breaks. The price is continuing to go up every 3 to 4 days. Take the coupon code that these guys just gave you, go to the link, get your slot, and we'll see you in the room.
Just to make a course. Because when I first came out and I was talking to a lot of coaches, a lot of people who have communities, everybody was like, hey, can you be my reno expert in my community? Can you be my thing in this community? Can you make a course for my community? And I was like blown away by that initial like acceptance of me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I kind of started looking into the communities and realizing like all of these community members are reaching out to me for this missing piece. And then I didn't know what to do with it. I'm not into the networking thing. I wasn't anyways before, and I wasn't really big on that. So I was like, okay, let me do some research. Let me do some homework. Let me feel out this new crowd that I'm hanging out with and figure out what's the best way I can add value. And that's kind of how I came up with all of these.
And what's crazy is like I find, not to diss like the trades, but I find like they're not outgoing people for the most part. You know what I mean? Like they're more like not shy, but more on the tools. Like, you know what I mean? Like not maybe as personable, where you shine in that category, which is the perfect missing piece to it all. You know what I mean?
No, it is. It's honestly insane how many people that I know are contractors but hate dealing with people. Like they're the opposite. And one of the things I also teach is I talk about understanding who the contractor is, because every contractor is different. You know, like when I was first doing renovations back in the day, like 15 years ago, it was me and my dad working out of our van. You know, that contractor's cheap. That's why people are like, how could contractors be like this price and this price? It's kind of all over the place, but it is. But if you understand the contractor who has an office and he's got machinery, he's got 10 trucks on the road, well, his price is going to be way different than the mom and pop operation, right? Like they're completely different. And the sooner people can understand that contractors are actually artists, it is an art form. Like not all of the trades are art forms, but taping, painting, some of the trim work that happens, laying brick, some of that stuff is really artistic. And understanding that it doesn't matter how much a person makes doesn't equate their artistic ability. Like I've seen people in Montreal, in, you know, downtown, there's probably people downtown here that are drawing sidewalk chalk art, and it is just amazing artwork, but they don't make a lot of money. And then you can go to an art gallery and that person will charge, you know, multiple $1 million for their painting. One isn't better than the other. It's just what one person wants versus the other person, right? So it's different. Like the more we could stop thinking about contractors as like people like you that you can hire. It's not like, I mean, I hope accountants don't hate me, but accountants, like they just run numbers, right? Like they're plugging in numbers to the thing and they're going to spit out a positive or a negative, like plastering and trim. And like one guy's going to do a great job. One guy's going to do a shit job. And it doesn't matter how much you paid him. It's just how skillful is he? Yeah.
It's not the same numbers to input in the system. It's an art form. I never heard that.
It's a variable instead of actually just being like a hard number every time, right?
Absolutely. Everybody has a different skill set, and you know, the tools don't matter. Whether you have new tools or old tools, that shit doesn't matter, man. What matters is the skill of the person or the experience that person has. How many times has he run into this problem where, you know, a room isn't square, and like, what has he done to make it look square or feel square or not notice that it's so out of whack? That's the art.
And is that kind of why you, I guess, started doing renovations? Like you were naturally like artistic in that form, or?
No, honestly, I was working at the bank, and you know, a corporate job. I was winning like quarterly awards and all that sort of stuff. And then my dad asked me if I wanted to work with him on a weekend to do a kitchen backsplash. And then I did the kitchen backsplash, and I was picked it up very quickly. And then my dad gave me my cut. Yo, man, it takes me 3 days to make this kind of money. You know, I made this in like half a day. And then I was like, okay, well, you know what? Let's just keep doing it. So I kept doing it on weekends and weekends. And then I need to make more money. And then I was like, well, you got to do bigger projects, and bigger projects aren't going to be done in a weekend. So I quit my job and I risked it.
Yeah.
And then that's, it was like this. And it's still like this. Nothing's perfect. Anybody who's telling you that life is perfect or businesses are perfect, it's not how it works. There's ups and downs. But as long as you understand why you're in the up or why you're in the down and capitalize on that, then you're going to continue to go up and down, but in this direction, right? It's when you're going straight down. That's where.
How old were you when you made this move from like the bank to
I was in, I would say, my early 20s. I was in my early 20s. I'm like 44 now, and I made the move, and that's kind of like it was risky. I had a kid on the way, just moved into my first condo, and
wow, that is risky.
And I just jumped ship. And I remember what's cool though now is when I talk to people, there was a guy that I used to do renos with in the evenings, like really late in the evenings. We'd after our regular work, we'd go and do work in the evenings, and we talk about those days and be like, yo, remember we used to do jobs in the middle of the night to like 1, 2 in the morning, get home so tired, get back to work and hustle. And he was like, he stopped doing it. He went back to his corporate job, and I've kept going. And they're like, dude, it's incredible to see how much you've scaled and grown, knowing that you are at the bottom. One point, right? Like, so it's really cool to have those stories, even just have people who were part of that in the beginning, right?
Yeah, for sure. And different. Were you always like a real estate investor as well, or is that something that came later?
No, so I met, again, my wife, Genius. She introduced me to a person, and they were like, he's a real estate investor, you should talk to him. This guy do, and he was in the army with me. And then I spoke to this guy, and he was like, oh, you're a contractor, what do you want? You want a paint job? You want a floor job? And I was like, no, man, I'm a general contractor. I'll tackle the project. Like, give me the puzzle, I'll solve it. That's kind of like my super ability.
Yeah.
And I met with this guy. We did a building together, and then another one, and another one, and another one. And then in my head, I was like, wait, I don't have to sell this client anymore. Like, he knows that I'm going to produce what he needs at the price that he needs. And anytime a unit becomes vacant, he's going to give it to me. There's no late night quotes. There's no extra requoting or redoing paperwork. And I can like perfect the reno. Like, every time you do something, you get better at it, right? You do something 1,000 times and you become really good at it. So what if I just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again for the last 10 years? I'll be really good at it.
Yeah.
And we're really good at what we do. And we're so good that now we can educate people and help people. I can't take all of my people to all over the world. And, like, we're in London right now, and then people in Guelph and like Niagara. Like, the world's so big, but knowledge you can pass out a lot further and help them manage their reno projects. I used to manage my, right? Like, when I started, it was just me and like a couple other guys. And then eventually it was me and 5 guys. And then we were on 2 job sites, 3 job sites, 5 job sites, 10 job sites. We're on 20 job sites. So how I operated when I was in 2 job sites and how I operate when I'm in 20 job sites and how we're operating now are all completely different.
Yeah. And were you like, was the marketing, did it make a big change financially for the company? Like, you saw it dramatically, like once you really went all in on like Taco and the branding, like did you see a huge like return on investment there?
So marketing is important. Marketing, I think, is the most important thing, right? If you don't have customers coming in the door, then you don't have a business. You can have a great accounting team, you can have a great product, but if you're not having anybody looking at your product, then you're never. Marketing, I've understood very quickly that marketing is the most important thing. And people tend to market when they're slow, or people don't tend to market all the time. They're like, we're busy, can't take any more customers, I'm gonna slow down my marketing, right? Like, you need to be marketing all the time, like especially in today's form of marketing, like Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and everything like that. Like, we're driving down a highway and billboard ads are getting us, right? Every time you scroll your finger up, the next billboard ad hits you, right? And there's so much opportunity. Everybody's got a podcast, everybody's got a thing, everybody's got a social media account. So you need to be increasing the volume of marketing so that people come to you and you're not looking for people. So now, like, with my stuff, people are messaging me all the time and asking me, hey, can you help me with this? Or can you do this for me? I'm no longer like chasing my customer. My customers are now chasing me. And that's like the key piece with the marketing for me, is like, financially it's changed because now I can choose, 1, I can choose who I work with, and 2, I don't need to look for work because work's looking for me. And that's a completely different scenario to be in versus chasing the work, right? Because like that's a problem. Like trying to find podcasts. If people are calling you every single day and be like, I want to be on Uncapped, well then you can just do this all the time, full time, forever, and have way more success because people are chasing you. But until that moment, you're chasing people.
And
right?
I feel like we felt that. We have felt that with the podcast.
Yeah, completely.
Like the turnaround where people are like asking us as opposed to us always having to look for people.
No, for sure. You guys are lots of episodes deep now. It's not like when you first started and, you were like, hey, does anybody want, like, who the hell are you guys, right?
Like, you have to reach out to people, like that cold call, essentially, right?
Like, I knew nothing about you guys. And then when we met and then I started looking into your stuff and I'm like, damn, you guys got a lot of guests. You have a lot of episodes, a lot of podcasts. And I'm like, that's cool. You're established. It's really good. It's cool to see two younger guys really kicking ass out there. So it's really cool. But it's important to be in the marketing space. And that's kind of like why the marketing changes, because now I'm too busy and, I can only, let's say I can take on 10 clients as an example. I can take on 10 clients and then now the 11th client wants in. Well, now I can drop one client, but I'm going to charge the 11th one more.
Yeah.
Right.
So
you can now control your price because there's a lot more value in what you're doing. Like people sometimes will tell me, oh, Mark, you're kind of like expensive. I can hire, this contractor. I'm like, yeah, you can for sure. Is he going to be around in 10 years? Because I've been around for 15. Yeah. Is he going to be established? Like, are people going around and saying, hey, Tacoboutinvesting is the worst person on the planet? No, people say good things about me. People talk about my experience and my knowledge base because I'm good at what I do. And I don't do everything. I won't do your house. I won't do your personal home. That's not what I do. That's not what we specialize in. We specialize in real estate investors and turnovers for investors and units. And I try to stay in my lane because that's my superpowers, being good at what I do.
I like what you said there because I was always thinking like, okay, if you're marketing a lot, how are you balancing growing like your employees a lot? But like what you said, you drop the cheapest job and pick up a more expensive job. So you like to keep like a certain amount of customers and
no, for sure. You want good customers. You want customers that pay, right? Like this industry right now is really terrible. Everyone's feeling the pinch from interest rates and everything like that, like housing prices coming down. So you want to pick and choose who you work with, especially today, I would say. Right. It's more important to market like that. And then, for scaling and growing, right? Like if you can pick on, so like if you can pick and choose your customers. So if you have a customer that, maybe they're getting out of the race or they're older and they're just kind of like still turning over units. Are they going to grow? Do they have that same drive that your business does? Right. If I want to do 50 units, well, I want to pick up guys that are hungry for work and are trying to buy every single building, not the guys that are just buying stuff every 5 years and just keeping like a simple business plan, because it still works. There's nothing wrong with it. If I'm trying to grow, then my customer base should grow with me, right? Like, so you want to, so that way you can continue to develop that relationship with that person, which is going to allow you to scale with that.
With marketing, what are some things you've found as like challenges that you've had to overcome?
Oh man, that's, marketing challenges. The biggest thing is kind of like figuring out what to like post, because it's so much easier to get lost in like what's exciting out there, like what carrot to chase, because there's so many and you can. Like I posted a video recently and it's got like 1.7 million views and it was just a basic video and I just capitalized on a trend. So it's so easy to chase the trending videos, which will get me lots of views, but it's not necessarily going to get me in front of my ideal avatar, right? So that's been a tricky thing. And then the other thing too is I feel like I'm pretty good at a few things. Like I have a lot of experience in the rental side of things. Obviously I'm pretty good at marketing, and sometimes it's like tough to stay on brand, like to try to keep talk about investing just one thing. So I've created another brand to kind of like separate them. And that I think is very difficult too, is just to like how much more it's important to niche down on what you do, because there's so much you can see. So the stuff that's really niche will travel further than the stuff that's general. General, you'll reach, look, computers are dumb. And you're chasing this like algorithm, and the algorithm, all it's doing is trying to show your content to as many people that it thinks will watch your content. So if you're sharing stuff about your kids or your family, well, everybody likes kids and family. So it's hard for the computer to figure out which individuals that are out there that have kids and families are into the Uncapped Network if you're sharing like personal and family stuff. So like really niching down on topics will help your content go further to the customer that you want to see your content, and that's going to be better for you. But it's kind of hard to figure out what your niche is and how to carve out your.
And like a lot of people say post like anything, just record, post up. But I kind of like, in a way, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, I kind of disagree, because like at the end of the day, like it kind of has to be intentful and authentic. You know what I mean? But then some people get stuck in analysis paralysis and then they just never post. So what's that perfect balance? Like, what does your content have to, like, what metrics does it have to hit before you post?
Okay, one, posting over not posting, I'll take that any day. You don't need perfection. Like, people spend so much time editing videos, which is insane. I'm gonna go back to this guy Zach Hartley, who's taught me a lot. He's on TikTok, Instagram. He's got, man, I don't want to, 100,000 plus followers on social media. And I went to an event and I met him, this guy Griffin Milks from Montreal, and these guys and Sophie Anderson, they were younger guys, like they're like early 20s. They're on their phone. They're filming everything on their phone, and none of them are using editors. They're all doing it themselves. And I was like, I had a full-time marketing guy. I had like 37 followers. I remember like somebody laughing and they're like, I'm your 40th follower. I have 2,000 now, which isn't that much, but it's still significant. And these guys have hundreds of thousands of followers, and they do everything on their phone, where everyone's like, oh, I need a marketing guy. I need to hire somebody to do the editing. And then I started paying attention and talking to them about like, okay, how are you editing these videos? Like, what is it? And then they would show me kind of like their method. And now I can create a video or a reel all on my phone if I'm doing it intentfully. Like you're saying, like if I know, like today, I'm going to come in here. So I'm going to take a video, me opening my car door, walking up to your place, hitting pause, like doing a pan of your banner, doing a pan of the studio, and then like us kind of like in a photo together. And then that's a reel if I filmed it intentfully like that.
Yeah. Right.
Where people are so just like trying to film everything. So as long as you can be like a little intentful and understand what you're trying to accomplish at the end of the day, it'll help. So these guys, 100,000 followers, they all edit on their phone. CapCut, they're just like cleaning up stuff. Adobe Premiere, like very simple stuff. Like don't overshoot, just be very simplistic and like have intent on what you're trying to post. If you're trying to make a reel, go look at templates. Like on Instagram, they have like the pre-made templates. It's like you need a 1 second shot, a 2 second shot, a 3 second shot, a 5 second shot, a 6 second shot. Now go to the event and think that you need to take those videos and put them all together, and then boom, you got a good reel, and you don't have to hire an editor. It's better to have content than no content. And what I find, or what I've been finding, kind of playing around with my version of the algorithm, is that people on social media like to see real people. The over edited videos, like you're like, that person didn't edit that video, or like has no idea what he's doing, especially kind of like when they're talking and then there's like flashiness and stuff like that. Yeah. It's good to get attention, but you can tell when it's like overly produced, and then you're like, you're not stopping at that. You're stopping at the stuff that like really engages you. And as humans, I can't remember, I don't know who to give credit to for this, but I think it was on a podcast I was listening to, or somebody. Anyways, they're like, when you're driving down the road and something catches your attention and you turn your head, what are you looking at? Are you looking at that mother and son just walking down the street? Or are you looking at that guy that just got hit by a car, or a car being on fire, or, some catastrophic event? You're going to get out of your car and stop and like videotape that action, right? Like that's what catches people. So if you could kind of create that same, thing that's captured on social media, like it doesn't have to be obviously somebody blowing up or whatever, but like it's those like in your face kind of things that, like the guerrilla marketing type strategy, like wearing a taco hat in a very formal event, that's going to capture, everyone's going to look at me. And if you can kind of think of ways to do that in your industry or whatever you're trying to market, that's what's going to capture people. Not being like, hey guys, I'm Mark from Taco Renovations, and this is what, no, it's like, I have a crazy hat on and I'll talk about other stuff. Like I don't even need to talk about my reno stuff. It's just like, everybody's going to know about me. And that's kind of like just how human nature is. Like we're going to look at the things that you kind of don't want to look at.
Yeah. It's kind of what you said there. It's like everybody's always going to turn and look if somebody's fighting, right? Or if like a burning car or car crash, right? That's the stuff that like draws their attention. It's kind of those simple things, but are so dramatic at the same time.
Yeah, so if you can kind of come up with a way to like punchy lines, right? Like the captions or whatever, like it's got to be something that punches somebody in the face to make it feel like a fight. And then they'll look at your videos. They'll look at your.
What advice do you give to those people? I'm sure you've had many of them who come up to you. They want to grow their social media. You look at their page, they have no posts, you know, they want to post, they want to grow their business, but there's like this wall in front of them that doesn't allow them to like actually like express themselves through content. Like, how do you break that?
Honestly, it's funny because I tell people all the time, I'm like, you got to be posting, right? Like if you're posting, again, it's that billboard ad, right? I use that billboard ad analogy. Like if you see the McDonald's ad 50 times a day, you're going to want to eat McDonald's. That's how it works. It's not magic.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're posting all the time, then they're going to recognize your ads,
Yeah.
right? Like you need to have some sort of like professionalism to your ads. You can't just be, I think Alex Hormozy says this, but there's like, you know how they're like, any attention is good attention, like bad or good. But like sometimes it'll get attention, but it'll drive people away from you.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it'll drive people towards you. And the idea is to get more people to drive towards you, not away from you. So if you start posting very political stuff or religious stuff or stuff that like people may have an opinion on, right? Like if I say I love Jesus all the time and you're Muslim, well, that's going to push us automatically away from each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I try to kind of like stay neutral, right? Do anything that people can kind of have a left or right opinion on. And especially when you're coming up with those punchy lines, you don't want to be, you know, you don't want to drive people away, right? You want them to come towards you, especially if you want to talk to them and do business with them. But for the new guys, I just say, look, post.
Yeah.
Post and post and post, and then start looking at what you've posted and see what you like and what you don't like. Your friends, you're going to see when your friends are going to like and not like. When you have 0 followers or when you have 50 followers, most of those people, you know.
100%.
So you're going to be able to go and be like, hey Coca, man, what did you think about my post? And you'd be like, dude, that was so whack, or like, you know, man, I don't know, you were like fumbling, right? Like you'll give me real feedback and then I can adjust.
Yeah.
Right. Until you start, like now I have 2,000 followers and I can't ask 2,000 people what they thought of my post. I got to now look at what they've been, their feedback, like how many of them are commenting, how many are liking, sharing, saving. That's my feedback. How many people are viewing it? That's the feedback and understanding that feedback. But you can't get there until you start. And like the biggest thing in anything like business, money, relationships, jujitsu, any of that stuff, man, you just got to start and keep going. I am almost a black belt in jujitsu, not because I'm some magic, you know, being. It's just because I stayed in jujitsu for all this time and I keep doing jujitsu and I keep improving. Yeah. And that's it. That's the magic.
What was your experience like when you first started then, like with your friends and family, when you were like, okay, I'm Taco, this is going to be me online?
Everyone's like, you're crazy, right? But I'm that person in our family, in our household, and they're like, you're crazy, it's funny. And then it just kind of like, once it started going outside that inner circle, that's when I started getting real good feedback, because people are like, dude, I see your shit on the time. You know, what's weird, actually, what I think is, I don't, like, nobody's really telling you that they saw your post or they're watching your post or like, or it's good. Like you can see that people have viewed it, but how much did they view it? Did they see the whole story? Did they see like a second of my story? Did they like tab past my story? I don't know who sees it or who doesn't see it. And then every now and then I'll get together with friends or family or like, you know, close guys like you guys. And you're like, dude, your content is fire. I love what you're doing. I don't get that. You can't, it's hard to get that when you're just facing the screen.
Yeah.
But when you meet people and talk to people and you get that feedback, well, then you know that people like what you're doing. You just keep doing more of it, right?
Yeah.
100%.
Now, are you like using metrics on these social media platforms to like double down on things that work? Is that how you're attacking it now?
Yeah, I'm trying to. There's this like fine line between posting content that gets you eyeballs and then posting content that gets you engagement. I think there's 2 tactics to it. So I'm kind of like playing around with what I think works best for my following and the people that are following me and like what I'm doing. But I would say I've never had this many people message me on my social media than ever. Like I'm talking to random people all the time. And then, you know, you compound that with our Grow networking community that we've created. And it just like, we're really busy with engaging and talking to people who are our target avatar. And that's been great.
Sorry, go ahead.
Do you find the engagement is more valuable than or just getting those eyes, or do you think it's the opposite?
I think it's a bit of both. You wanna mix of both, because when you see one piece of my content, no matter how you got it, Instagram and Facebook and the computer will try to give you another snapshot or 2, and it'll kind of like test how you react to some of my content. Yeah. So if you get in front of one person, you'll get in front of that person, and that I think has been really helpful. But that doesn't mean every person, like that video that we did that's gone viral, 1.7 million people, but not all of them are in my niche, right? So of that, I got like 60 followers from that one video, but it took me like 2 seconds to make that video. It wasn't like I didn't spend all this time. Like like videotaping and editing and all this shit, like, right? Like I just quickly did it on my phone and we came up with the idea and then it went nuts.
Yeah.
And that's it. You got to spend less time editing and more time pumping out content so that you can get that.
And what is Grow Network?
So Grow Networking is a community that we created for real estate investors. It stands for giving real estate owners wealth. And wealth comes in many forms, but really the biggest thing is wealth and connections. And so we I came up with this idea before. It used to be called Tacoboutinvesting Network. And then I was like, that's too niche. How do I get a whole bunch of people in there? And then I do a lot of gaming, a little bit of a gaming nerd. And in gaming, there's a lot of like community groups. So like all of the priests hang out together and all the different groups hang out together to try to tackle one boss or beast. And that beast is real estate investing. And you need an agent, you need a mortgage broker, you need a business professional like insurance, accounting. You also need somebody who has deals, and you need and somebody who can add value to your property like a contractor or an architect. Like these are pieces you need in order to get a deal done. That no matter what, you need all of this stuff. You also need property management. Like you need all of these pieces. So we kind of created this network that's free, and we give out free advice, and we do monthly meetups. We're going to start monthly meetups in London. We're starting some in Edmonton and Calgary, and we do them in like the GTA as well. And we're doing these meetups. Some of them we charge a small fee, but at the end of the day, it's about getting people in the room together, and we color code the people so that everybody is easily identifiable. So you guys are in marketing and you do podcasts, so you guys are business professionals, you would wear blue. Cool. I add value to people by what I do literally adds value to your building because I'm doing all the renos, so I'll wear yellow. Mortgage broker will wear red. And then like a wholesaler or off-market guy or an agent, they'll wear purple. So, and then a real estate investor who you also need to execute the transaction is green. So every time you're networking, you're kind of looking for a specific person depending on where you are in the life cycle of real estate investing. So I want to be in a busy room and not talk to, like, I hear this from agents all the time where one agent spends 15 minutes talking to another agent, trying to feel each other out and realizing that they're both agents and they can't sell the same house to each other. It's not helpful. So it's super helpful to be able to know what person you need to target or who's going to be of value to you to help with what you're trying to do, whether you're trying to raise capital, do a JV for a deal, leverage another deal. Like you can figure out all of the pieces. So that's kind of how we've been operating our networking events and our meetups. We'll have everybody color coded and we all run the same values so that everybody, no matter which networking event you're on, you can quickly find the person that you need to find for that moment in time.
Yeah.
And
that's so smart.
Literally.
Like I'm blown away by that. It's because like everyone looks the same in a suit at these events.
100%. And time is the most valuable asset, right? We talk about this all the time. Like, hey, can't back my time. I don't want to waste my time talking to another contractor when I'm looking for, a customer or whatever. So that's kind of why I came up with that idea. And we do it. And I do a lot of like collabs instead of like creating our own individual events. I try to like partner with people that are trying to do something or have already a small meetup, and then I get them to adopt my system and like be part of us. And then we have a digital community on Discord, which is a platform that younger generations use. And it's the best platform. Like people are like, I don't know, Discord's hard. Real estate investing is effing hard. Like Discord is easy. Like, Zoom was hard too. And then COVID taught us that Zoom was pretty easy, right? Like, so Discord is a platform that's online. It's kind of like Facebook, Instagram, but it's all in one system. So you can do WhatsApp chat, Reddit forums, Zoom calls, live calls. And you can even watch videos together. Like you can stream a YouTube video and all watch together and kind of like go over what's going on in the video together, all in one platform. Like, why would you go from Facebook and be like, hey, send me the Zoom link, and then go to another app and then like, and then go to the other app? Like, it's so stupid, I think. So this platform really captures a lot of that stuff. And on the platform, I can color code the members. So when you guys join, or if you join and you're typing, you will show up as a blue person. So if I'm getting advice on like how to refinance my deal and a bunch of blue guys are messaging me about it, well, I don't have to put so much weight in what you're telling me because you guys are blue guys. But if you guys are talking about marketing, well, then maybe I put more value in what you're doing because your color matches
what you're talking about.
That's
sweet, actually.
And that seems to be the trend. Communities. Having people like help each other in the communities. Like I'm sure you've seen School and Alex Hormozy and how he's been promoting that.
School is exactly Discord. School is a copy.
Interesting take, yeah.
All they have is the only real big difference is they have that little thing where it shows you like your how much progress you've watched in the video that you upload. So that's it. Outside of that, school is the exact same thing as Discord, except in school you can't color code people and you can't group people. You're a little bit limited, and every time you need to do something new. So the problem that I don't like about school is very specific to one school. So like you're gonna learn about contracting. Well, then if you want to have agents in there, you can't. You got to open up a new school for agents.
Yeah.
You got to open up a new school for. So that's why I don't like school. I like Discord because I just have one thing where we could all be together, and the rooms in Discord, you can kind of create private rooms for groups of people. So contractors could all have like a private contracting chat that you guys aren't going to see because it doesn't matter to you.
Yeah.
But the marketing guys will have a marketing channel, and we could talk about the marketing stuff that marketing people care about, right? Like it's different. So you can kind of like, the busier it gets, the better and more powerful Discord is, and the busier school gets, the less powerful.
Yeah. No, that's an
No
interesting.
offense, Alex.
No, but that's an interesting perspective. Like we used to use Discord mostly for our meetings before it was in person, and I loved it too. Like just for the you can, like you said, get on live calls, stream together, talk, chat, like have different labels, right? So it's I like how you're using that as your community hub.
Yeah, and like the information you can share, like I can share specifics to specific groups because I can make that channel hidden from you guys, but only share it with contractors, or I can make, like agents may have some, I don't know, magic tools that they use that they want to talk about together that has no relevance, right? But they create separation.
Did you find out about Discord through your gaming?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like that's how I've always used Discord, and like even thinking back, like Ventrilo was the original like Discord,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
And then moving out of there, it's like how much it's evolved, right? And now people are using it as a platform for everything.
No, now like, there's so many more and more communities and stuff like that being built.
And then I did want to ask, so you talked about jujitsu. Where did that like passion and love come from?
Oh man, I don't even know why I jiu-jitsu. I think like watching UFC and all that stuff. Like I remember watching UFC 1, and it was fun to like mess around. And then I went to an MMA gym and I started doing jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai. Like they had everything, so I started training in everything. And then I really loved jiu-jitsu because it was really like, I hate doing exercise where my mind can run, because my mind's always running. Like I'm always thinking, like I'm like running with ideas right now. We'll talk about after, but right, like that's how my mind works. So if I'm running, I'm just thinking about work or business or the next thing I'm trying to build or whatever. I'm like, that's kind of how I operate. So jiu-jitsu is the one thing in my life where my brain is only focused on one thing. Like that's like, I don't know, some people can meditate and do yoga. Some people say you can get that runner's high, but like every time I'm doing jiu-jitsu, I'm in that space. And that's why like I love jiu-jitsu. Being good at fighting is like a byproduct of jiu-jitsu. I do jiu-jitsu for the mind clearance. Like I could have the most stressful day in my life and go to jiu-jitsu and feel like $1,000,000.
Is it because you're always in survival mode? Like any wrong turn, you're done?
Yeah,
or?
it's just you have to think so fast, and the more and more you become better at jiu-jitsu, you have to think even harder and faster, because you got to think like 6 or 7 moves ahead. When I'm fighting like black belts or brown belts or even experienced purple belts, like they are not just trying to attack you with first move. It's like the 7th move is the move that they're going to get you with. Yeah. So you're trying to like think, and the problem is there's like move 1, and then if he's successful at it, you open up this branch of opportunities, and if he's not successful at it, it goes this way, and then it just turns into a giant spider web. So like you're thinking about like 40 moves, it becomes exponential, right? Like it's just like the amount of options that are available. Like what happens if this happens? Yes or no? What happens if this happens? Yes or no? And then you can go down any path, but you need to understand all of that in order to be like really good. So I'm thinking about so many things all at once, and the guy trying to kill me at the same time. And what's cool about jiu-jitsu is you can go really hard or soft. Like in boxing or like even like Krav Maga, like I can only pretend to like put my palm of my hand through your nose, or like, like dick punch you or whatever. Yeah. Right. Like I don't do Krav Maga, but like you can only do some, like you can only make that so real.
Yeah.
Right. Like I can't poke you in the eyes or bite your ear off. Like that you can't do that for real.
Yeah.
In jiu-jitsu, I can really try to break your arm, and it's up to you to like tap and say, and then you let go. But you can't do that in many other sports. Like, so it's like a really good sport because you're operating at such a high intensity, but you're not going to like hurt yourself, because you can get hurt, but like it's up to you. The onus is a lot on your opponent to like tap out. Like if you don't tap out and I broke your arm, I'm like,
It's your fault.
It's
Yeah.
your fault. Your whole goal is to kind of like say it hurts.
Like how do you balance that ego? Because I'm sure there's a bunch of dogs in there, and they're just like,
Yeah, you balance that ego. That's why you become a white belt, and you will, man. You know, there. Some days you're the hammer, some days you're the nail. When you're a white belt, you are always the nail. You will always be the nail. And you just. So when I remember being a white belt, and my son's, he just started jiu-jitsu, so he's learning this right now. But it's like you're always gonna lose, and then now it just doesn't become of like, am I gonna lose or am I not gonna lose? It's like, how many seconds am I gonna have, right? Like now I'm gonna roll with a guy and be like, okay, last time let's go for 3. Yeah, like you know, you make it to 3. 3 is a win. 3 seconds is a win. I lost. I still lost, but like now I didn't lose right away. Or like he didn't get me with the first move that he did last time, right? And you're always like learning and expanding your thing. And then eventually you'll get better, and then it starts to become a battle of inches where you're like out really out thinking.
How has that applied to business for you? Like all this like knowledge from jiu-jitsu, as you said, it's a spider web at the end of it, right? And how you overcome a lot of your problems seems to be like you're always thinking.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, for business, for sure, man, like understanding, well, one, you can be under this level of stress and pressure, but you can still kind of like find a way out of it, right? There's no dead end to it. Like even if you like fail, like man, maybe I did get submitted, but like failing is also like a huge learning opportunity, and people look at it as such a negative thing, man. Like, you know, I can go bankrupt tomorrow, but the next day I'll be back to where I was because I've learned a lot of lessons, and you can't take that knowledge away from you. So like, and understanding that there's lots of pressure out there, but like it's not, if you fail under pressure, that doesn't mean it's the end, right? Like you can keep going till your heart stops beating. You can still keep going.
And is one of your ultimate goals to become a black belt? Like that's something that you can't wait for?
Yeah, like I mean I'm pretty close to my black belt, I think. Yeah, it's not really a goal anymore. Like when I started jiu-jitsu, it was kind of like a goal. Now, like it doesn't matter. I could wear a black belt around my waist. That's not going to change how good or bad I am as a fighter. No different than like whether I'm bankrupt or I'm rich. It's not going to change how good I am at business, right? Like no matter what, like you can't take the knowledge that I have in my brain away from me. I could wear a white belt and show up like I'm a new guy, but I have all this skill and experience, right? I just got back up and started again. So that's kind of like really important. So like what you have and what you learn. It's interesting. Like now that I'm older, I guess I'll say is like, you know, when you're young, you're just trying to be so hungry for knowledge. And even like today, I'm still hungry for knowledge. But then when I talk to younger guys and people, and they're like, dude, you're so smart. And I'm like, I'm not smart. This is just stuff I've learned along the way. And that's where like it becomes cool when you can start sharing your brain and helping other people catch up. Yeah. And then you can become better together.
Yeah, it's like the definition of like the actual journey that you enjoy. You're not enjoying like the black belt at the end. It was like who the man you became when you.
No, for sure. Now it's fun. Now it's like it's a different thing. Like whether I get a black belt or not, like it's not really important. I'm like I feel like I'm there already, right? Like I know I can. I'm not worried about any person that I'm gonna grapple with, whether they're a black belt or a white belt.
What about this guy? He's a little scary.
It doesn't matter.
Of course, why would I, bro? This guy's fucking acting. Kind of fucking stupid question answer is that? He'd murder you if anything.
I was laughing because at Expand, I remember that's when like the whole jiu-jitsu stuff started talking, and it was just fun. It was a fun environment, you know what I mean, with everybody.
Oh no, for sure. It was really like it's cool. Like I like to work with people I like, right? I like to have fun. Just like to be super like work. Like you got to work hard and you got to have fun, right? Like or else, I don't know. There needs to be some give and take, and like meeting you guys and hanging out with you guys and spending that time together and stuff like that. Like I know I like you guys and I like the vibe, and I feel like we're all similar, like kind of like how we hang out and how we operate in business. So that's going to make our business together more fun, right? Because now we're just hanging out. We're accomplishing things, but it's not like, you're like, oh fuck, I'm meeting Taco. Like, yeah, let's go, right? Like you guys are hanging out together. So it's different. So it's exciting to hang out with you guys and be part of your podcast.
100%. Cool. Like we were in the backyard. We were just eating some food, me, David, and Coca this weekend, and we saw, and he's like, "Oh, Taco might be coming." Right away, we sent you that voice note. We got excited, talked about everything. But like you said, it's important to get that vibe from somebody, and then like you said, it's not like you're backpacking off each other. It's just you're growing together. A lot of people think it's a competition sometimes, like you know what I mean. But it's like I find that's the best way to grow is 100%. Alongside others, making sure they're winning too, right?
Yeah, it's or else what's the point? Like one person can't be winning, right?
Yeah.
Like there needs to be a balance, or you know what? Like help enough people, and then people will find a way to help you back, right? Like, and if those people never help you back, well, then you just stop helping them, right? Like that's kind of like how I operate. I try to lead with lots of value and immense value, and then hopefully, you meet somebody and you're like, oh, buddy, you should talk to Taco. Let me put you in connection with him. He's really good at this, right? And then that's how business is formed, is through relationships. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
Do you have like a 5 or 10 year goal at this point in time in your life?
Probably to retire.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know, man. You know what? I don't know. I don't.
Do you think you could handle retirement?
No,
like,
I probably just start another company. Like, I don't know. My retirement. I feel like now I'm kind of retired. I'm doing the stuff I love to do, man. It's like I like this, the marketing, social media, being that like personable person, like being in a room full of people and talking to everybody. That excites me. That like me. That, I'm not even working at this point. Like this is. I'm living the dream, I guess you could say, right? Like I'm doing what I want to be doing.
Yeah. How do you balance such a busy schedule? You know, you're in different cities. So many randoms are contacting you to get like information or learn more about you. And then you have a family too. How are you keeping everything balanced with such a busy schedule?
You know what? It's I don't work weekends. Like outside of a big event, like it's got to be a really big event, like multifamily conference or whatever. But for the most part, I'm not doing anything. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Talk About Investing is closed. And I spend all that time with. During the week, I try to get everything done during night. Don't do too much anymore. I don't really work that much. Like I have a good team around me, and like that's kind of like I think a key thing that I've learned too is like you got to hire the right people, or the people that are willing to push with you. If anything, push further than you are, and then you'll be able to like remove pieces that you don't want to be doing in work. Like one of the first people that I really hired was an accountant. Right. Hire the guy that is doing the shit that you don't want to be doing anymore. Make them the pro. And if they're as excited and behind your vision and like build with them, right? Even with my employees and stuff like that, it's that thing. Like I want to work with them so that we're pushing together, and you'll be stronger together than everybody just listening to you.
Yeah. Was it hard to like replicate yourself in your business? Because you kind of need someone with that same sort of like energy, right?
No, you know what? Business is a people person and a people thing. And if you can understand people and where they're going to fit in your role, then it's going to be the best for you. You can take the maximum approach on a person. Like not everybody is going to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody's going to be hungry. Not everyone's going to want the same things. But some guys are task rabbits. Like as long as you give them that list, they will crush that list, but they won't come up with that list by themselves. So like understanding who the person it is that you're hiring, and not who you're hiring, like what you need. Like, do you need more task rabbits or do you need more visionaries in your team? Like understanding like who to hire, then you can like really, so it's like about understanding the people and what motivates people. I talk about this in a couple other podcasts too, but like everybody isn't driven by money. Like everyone thinks people are like, if I give you $1 million, that's going to motivate you. But you as a person deeper, that's what's going to motivate you. Maybe it's me giving you guys private jiu-jitsu lessons and getting him caught up to his friends and being able to crush his friends. That may motivate him more than me giving a free jiu-jitsu membership. Like it's everyone's driven differently, right? Yeah. Like sometimes it's not about money. Yeah. Money's the easy thing, but it's not. It's like, like some of my guys, I would buy them a case of beer. That would be way better than me giving them $50.
Yeah.
Just a gesture over actually like the money. Simple.
Yeah, like one of the weeks or whatever, I had our guys from our factory in the back, and we went out and we all got liquored up and we had a great time and it was fun, and we were just like being human, and it wasn't like I'm the boss and you're like my workers. It was just us connecting and talking and chatting and like kind of opening up. And then I learned about people's backgrounds and their situations and what they're doing, and then like that helps me motivate them because I understand where they're coming from, right? Like everybody comes from a different place. Everyone can't replicate me. Like you can't just wear a taco hat and pretend you're Taco. Like that's, I mean, maybe look a little close, but, but no, it doesn't work like that, right? Everybody comes from a different background. Everyone's opportunities are different. You can never recreate each other.
Yeah.
So like, don't look at another person to try to recreate them. Just take the best pieces from them and add them to your tool belt.
Yeah. And an experience like that leaves a much bigger imprint in that person,
of course,
because then they're thinking about the next day, like, oh, we had the best time last night, and then a week passes by. Remember that time? Like it just sticks in their mind.
Yeah, more. You remember those moments that you spent together are more valuable than that $50 that I gave you. And
yeah,
right. Like us hanging out in the hotel waiting for the next event to happen. That's where we bonded the most, and that's how we really became connected.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not because we met each other at the event; it was because we spent that time together.
100%. I kind of you touched on the Army a couple times. How long were you in the Army for? And like, I guess like, how did that shape you?
I was in the military reserve, so it was part-time Army for like 16 years.
That's a long time.
It was a very long time. and we were infantry. So infantry is, who knows?
Yeah, do what you gotta do.
You gotta walk everywhere, carry everything. Like, you know, you gotta walk 30 kilometers, and then when you get there, you're all tired, and you're like, okay, now let's start the attacking. So it's tough, man. It's tough, but because it was so tough, it definitely made me stress less, because you're under so much pressure in the army. You know, you're tired, you haven't slept, you're being pushed all the time, and you know, when you come back to normal life and you're like at work and like 50 emails to answer, like that's not stressful, man. That's not pressure. That's not tough. Being out in the rain and then being like having your feet wet and you have like blisters on your feet and you're bleeding and you're tired and you're sleepy, and then when you get there, that's when the fight starts and like the war is about to happen, and like you gotta, like, we do a lot of training scenarios, so you'll do the training scenario and you're gonna get attacked and you may not be ready for it, but you have to react. Like a lot of people in like corporate worlds and stuff like that, they're like, okay, let's stop, let's have a meeting, let's like reconvene and figure out what we need to do, and then they'll just go meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting and never choose to accomplish something. In the army, you're being attacked. You can choose not to fight, or you can choose to fight, or you can choose to do this or do that. You don't know what the outcome is. You just got to play it out, but somebody's got to make a decision and you got to go do it. Yeah. And then after, you know, maybe 10 people died, or maybe 300 people died, or maybe nobody died. Who knows? But like you got to make a decision.
Yeah.
And you can't sit there and contemplate the decision, because more people will die.
Yeah.
So you got to just do something. And that's like taught me too, to like, man, I could sit here and kind of like analysis process and think of all the different outcomes, but then you'll never do anything, man. You just got to get out there, do it, put one foot in front of the other, and you know, you can always adjust. And that's the thing that you can do with anything, is like, doesn't matter if you're falling or, you know, jumping off of a plane, and like as you're landing, it may not be where you wanted to land, but you can adjust and get closer to where you wanted to land than further away.
What was your like favorite thing about the army, and probably your least favorite thing overall?
My favorite thing about the army, honestly, was how simple they made every task. And I try to implement a lot of that into my businesses, because the simpler I can make any task, then the easier it is for me to hire anyone to do the task.
Yeah.
Right. So like streamlining the business, like making it so simple that anybody can do it, is really good. That I loved about the army. The hardest, I don't know what there were a few things. Honestly, like I disliked waking up early in the morning. Like I sleep in all the time. Like I can't. That's been ruined. That I dislike. Like not being able to sleep when you want to sleep, however you wanted to sleep. That was I think the most difficult thing for me personally. Yeah. In the military, like I could not. I hated it. I hated it. You know, you're like about to fall asleep and they're like, next shift. You're like, oh god. You know, like it doesn't. You don't just like go to bed. But I learned how to sleep everywhere and anywhere and in any position. Like now I can fall asleep.
Yeah.
That's a pro.
It's a superpower, I guess. Right?
It's a superpower. Yeah. I don't know, but it's terrible. Sometimes I like fall asleep in movie theaters and stuff, because I'm just like, oh, this is comfy. Like, right? I'm used to sleeping under trees and stuff, you know, like so it's different. But that's definitely like, you know, appreciating that you can like rest when you want to rest in everyday life, no matter how stressed you are. But like trying to sleep when people are being attacked, or you know you're about to get attacked, or it's raining, or it's freezing cold outside. That's
throughout like your life journey. It seems like there's always been a challenge and you accomplishing it, whether you put yourself in that situation or not. Like jiu-jitsu, being in the army, business, now like really honing down on your personal brand. Why do you have that drive to seek out something so challenging and just wanting to do it?
Like I don't know, I like to solve puzzles, man. I like to, that's kind of like, I would say, my superpower. I like to see a problem and find a solution problem, whatever it is. And that's what I loved. Like I love to like unscramble things. Like sometimes we're working on, you know, like projects in the back, and I'm watching the guys in the back and they're working, and I'm just sitting there watching them, and I'm like, what? And I'm like trying to figure out what he's doing, and I'll like talk to him, and then I'll sit back, and then I'll come, and then I'll like relocate stuff, and I just like, that's just kind of how my brain works. I just love to fix inefficiencies, and I like to make things more efficient. I don't know if it was because of the army or whatever, but like it's just something that's like been driven into me. Like I always want to do something a little bit better. But that's all you got to do, man. You got to, like, to be successful, all you got to do, be better, like, by, like, 1% better than the next guy. And if you're better than the next guy by that little amount, you're going to win. Yeah. You're going to win. If you talk to, like, world champions and all these people, like, you know, all these people that are working at high levels and operating at a high level, they're not doing things 100 times better than anybody else. It's just that small little edge that makes the difference between being on top.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like what our other podcast guest was saying, how you want to go 11%, 101%, not 100%. Like you always just want to have that edge.
Yeah.
Like that edge is what makes the whole difference.
It is, man. It's that edge, and whether it's like pushing yourself harder or prepping yourself more, like it doesn't necessarily have to be 101%. You could go 100%, but if you prepped 101% to be able to push 100%, like it's what are you doing extra to get you a little closer to the end.
Yeah.
And that's it. Even in jiu-jitsu, man, somebody could be, really tackling me, but me not giving up and not letting him to like overpower me and like just pushing and like understanding, man, that's another big thing that the Army taught me, I would say, is like you can go way further if you become your best cheerleader. So, when you're running or you're working out or you're stressed or whatever, like you just be your own cheerleader and be like, buddy, you got this. You can do this. You can push a little harder. You'll push a little harder. Like when I'm training or working out and I'm like trying to lift and I'm like tired and someone's like, come on, man, go, go, go. And then I'll just do it. And that's like kind of like built in from the Army. But like, if you can do that to yourself, like if you can be the little voice in your head to be like, don't give up, man. Or just keep at it. Just do it. One more rep, one more lift, one more thing. And then that's what's going to push you closer to that 101%.
Yeah. It's really just your mindset.
It's on you, man. It's on you for sure.
Yeah.
Like I remember being in the Army, like being so tired, and then this like female who's tinier, smaller than me, she's passing me, and I'm like, it's all mindset, man. It is mindset's a crucial part in it. Like you got to believe in yourself, and if you don't believe in yourself, man, then like who's believing in you, man? It's only you, right? It's you against you. Like it's you against you, man.
Yeah.
You're either going to be your best critic or your best cheerleader, right? And like always be your best cheerleader, and you're going to get the best out of you.
Yeah. And are these like things that you really teach your kids? Is that something that you need to get across?
Yeah, like my kids, I push them hard. Like for sure they do figure skating. We read books, we do math problems. Like sometimes we're in the car and we're like, what's 2 + 2? Like giving them like, not all kids are in a car with their parents on long drives. Like a lot of parents use tablets. I use tablets sometimes too, but whenever we can encourage our kids to do something that's going to push them that 101%, then that's what you want to be instilling in your kids, in your family, in your coworkers, in your employees, like in everything around you. If you can help people that way, then you're going to be better than everybody else.
And you as a little kid, would you be proud of the man you are today?
It's kind of funny because I had a family friend come from Ohio. They used to like visit us when we were kids, and then like my parents were friends with them, and then they had kids and they kind of like seeing each other.
Yeah.
And then they came by recently, I think after like 8 or 9 years, and they were like, Mark, we remember you always saying you're going to be successful. Mm-hmm. He's like, 1 year I'd come and you were like, I'm going to be the best magician on the planet. And then 1 year would come, you were going to be like the best this guy on the planet. Like they were like, you always had that personality type. So it's cool. Like it's cool. I was my own cheerleader. I always said to myself that I would be the best.
Yeah.
And I'm doing a really good job of what I've accomplished. I'm super proud of myself for sure.
We always say like, I feel like that's like when you're truly aligned, when the traits of you as a kid shine when you're an adult, you're lucky. Because I feel like the little kid is just so genuine, so like they don't care about anything else. They really like portray who they are. For example, like my mom, every time she left me at my aunt's house, she'd be like, you were a good kid, you just talk too much. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like the irony is we're here, I'm talking to a lot of people, you know what I mean?
So all you do is talk.
Yeah, exactly. But like, it's just like, that's why we asked that question. Cause it's like, it's cool to see, you know what I mean? Like those similar traits reflecting as an adult. I feel like that's when you're truly aligned.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's really cool, but it's really cool hearing these stories. Like it's different me knowing these stories, but it's nice to see like an outside person or like somebody giving me a third party validation to be like, dude, we always knew you were going to be successful because you would never stop saying you weren't going to be.
Yeah.
And that's cool. Like those things, sometimes I get teary-eyed and kind of teary-eyed right now, but like those things like really resonate to me for.
Yeah. And why do you think they hit the core like that? I
don't know. Just like, I'm so busy and you're like, you're kind of doing all of these things and kind of like that social media feedback, right? Like you're just posting, you're just doing stuff. How do you know you're good enough? There's always somebody better. There's always somebody better. There's always somebody worse. So you like never really have a stick to measure yourself against. The top is endless and so is the bottoms. Where are you in life, right? And that's where I'm saying like it's you against. So kind of like you saying like how would you feel about your childhood to where you are today? Like that's the only measuring stick you need to accomplish. And if you can accomplish that, then you're super successful. Doesn't matter the money, the friends, all the shit doesn't matter, right? It's what did you want to do when you were a kid growing up, and where are you today?
Yeah, 100%.
That's sick. That's like, yeah, I have goosebumps here. I'm like, yo, because I feel that, you know what I mean? Like, I really feel that with like where you're coming from, and it's beautiful to see. You know what I mean? It's beautiful to see like that moment that you had, just like, okay, aha.
Yeah.
Like, all right. Like, here's my little pat on the back, let's say.
Yeah, no, it's cool, man. It's honestly cool. And this was where, like, it's really nice to hear it from people that were around you before you became successful or before you achieved what you achieved, right? Like, people that just see it, whatever, right? Like, you know, I remember being in high school and my grade 11 teacher, like, I was terrible. I was not an academic. I had like 37.5 was my average percent in grade 11. And my grade 11 high school teacher, I like showed up to her class. It was late. It was like a new semester, so she didn't know me from anything, and I was like on the list to like see the vice principal. And then, you know, when I came to the door and I was late, she was like, you have to go to the office. Like, what do I have to go to the office for? She's like, you're on the list. And I was like, what list? She's like, look, man, you're not going to be successful. Just go to the office, do your thing. Like, don't waste my time in class, right? Like, she's kind of like a teacher that gave up on me.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe she's the motivating factor in my life, but like now, you know, and be like, where's that teacher today, right? Like, she's probably still teaching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably still got a shitty job.
Yeah.
No offense to teachers, but like,
Yeah.
I busted my ass off to be where I am today. And, you know, and I'm so thankful that I'm where I am and not in some dead end job that I don't love. It's not about the job. It's like doing what I love. And that's kind of like my biggest achievement, is that I'm doing what I love to do.
Yeah. No, it's amazing to hear. And I guess like for those listening, like, do you have any pieces of advice for them to like really seek out and take that risk on themselves?
Man, you gotta go out there and do it. You're not gonna be ready for that moment. I don't know what book it was in, but like, basically you gotta jump and build a parachute on your way down. You may not land where you want to, but like, as long as you're constantly working towards that goal and taking that next step up, and just keep moving up and up and up and up, and one day you're gonna stop and look back and be like, man, look at all these steps I've achieved. And that's the secret. It's not about the guy beside you, the guy above you, the guy below you. It's about you, where you are today and where you're going to be tomorrow. So like, even like if you just stop as a person and you just stop and think about where you were 10 years from now, 5 years from now, you know, are you looking down and being like, man, that's where I used to be? Or are you like, man, that's where I used to be, right? Like, most people are going to look back and have accomplished something. And that's, as long as you keep traveling that journey, you're going to be as high as possible, as long as you keep going.
Awesome. Is there anything else you would like to get off your chest for our audience before we wrap up this pod?
Any plugins, anything like that?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, follow me on Tacoboutinvesting. We're also at Grow Networking, and you know what? Fucking follow these guys, because you guys are got a cool podcast, and I'm gonna pump you guys out. And yeah, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and you know, maybe I'll sell some taco.
Yeah,
Hey,
you should.
yeah.
Should be your first line of merch.
100%, man. That should be a goal, 100%.
Oh man, I don't know. Somebody told me I should buy a taco truck. I think that might be
That'd be
a
heavy.
fun side hustle as
Why
well.
not, right?
I don't know. You know, it's endless. I'm having fun, and like, yeah, if you want to reach out for social media marketing, or even just anything real estate related, construction related, like I just love to help out, man. And like, you know, eventually you'll be able to help me out back. But like, for the most part, I'm a very giving human being, and I think I got a good heart.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll make sure to plug in all your stuff too. That way people have access to you. And thanks so much for taking the time, honestly, to sit with us.
Thank you, honestly.
Yeah.
No, man. Thank you guys for having me, man. The pleasure is mine. You guys are really cool guys. It'd be interesting to see where you're going to be, you know, 5-10 years from now.
Appreciate it. And then for all you guys who watched through, thank you guys so much. You know, you guys got spoiled today with this podcast. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And like always, we'll see you next episode. Peace.